Hi, folks. Today's episode brought to you by sunsetlakesabade.com. If you use the code Left is Best, you get 20% off. I'm back from my vacation, and guess what I did? I spent a lot of time drinking some of their new lifted teas.
Whoa.
Yes, I was on vacation, so I could. Some of us get hit a little harder than others, but you got to try these out. They come in two flavors, mint and regular tea. They're very tasty, and they got what, 5 milligrams? Yeah, Brian knows. But they have so many other great Sabade products. They've got tinctures to help you sleep. They've got tinctures to help you relax. They've got gummies to help you focus or calm yourself, or some with a little bit of THC as well. That obviously a little more fun.
Yes.
Yeah. They've got lotions and salves, and they've got all sorts of smokables. Great Sabade products. All third-party tested, none with use of pesticides. They use integrated pest management. They have great farming practices, regenerative farming that they work with the University of Vermont to implement. They have great movement politics. They have done things like mutual aid up in Vermont in the wake of the floods. They've donated tens of thousands of dollars to things like carceral reform and Planned Parenthood and strike relief funds, refugee resettlement, on and on. Just an all-around great company. Check them out. 20% off with the code LEFTISBEST at sunsetlakesabade.com. Okay, now time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
If I get the feeling you've been cheated.
It is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, federal judge on Friday rules many of Trump's tariffs illegal. Pushed off until October 14th for possible appeal. This says the $800 de minimis exemptions expired on Friday. Meanwhile, another federal judge rules that Trump's use of the military in LA was a violation of federal law. In D.C., the House is back from recess. Ready's action on Epstein files. This as a government shutdown looms. And speaking of the House, Gerald Nadler, sort of a progressive within the periphery of Democratic leadership in the House, announces that he will retire at the end of his term.
Good job, Nadler.
And speaking of retirement, Joni Ernst also set to announce her retirement during this week.
Sucks to suck.
She also plans to eventually die. International Association of Genocide Scholars declares Israel's assault on Gaza, quote, meets, quote, the legal definition of genocide. Trump to provide proof of barely life today, and an anticipated announcement of the Defense Department becoming the War Department. Another federal judge halts Trump's fast-track deportations, and another federal judge stops the deportation of 800 Guatemalan children. Labor Day features anti-Trump protests across the country. This as 500,000 federal workers have been stripped of their union rights in August alone. And U.S. regulators cancel bank exams as part of a Republican regulation rollback. Abundance of an opportunity for a new financial crisis. And as the Trump regime cues up invasion of Chicago, new report shows highest violent crime rates are in rural parts of red states. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
It is Newsday Tuesday.
Newsday Tuesday.
Welcome back, Sam.
Thank you for noticing.
Yes.
I was actually gone for the past week and a half.
People are saying this is proof of life.
Yep.
Yeah.
People weren't sure. There was like bruises all over my hands.
Yeah, you were wearing a big baseball cap with your mouth like...
People see me after the show and I walk around with my mouth agape.
There's diaper debates.
Exactly.
Make sure you're charging the cattle prod, Brian.
Well, I could settle the diaper debates. Those are still happening. But everything else was a lie. I am still here. I also want to make it clear, wasn't anywhere near Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. Wasn't involved in any of that.
No laser gun for Havana syndrome or anything like that?
I have longtime listeners of this program will know that very often when I go on vacation, like right-wing figures die.
Or like October 7th happens, for example.
Yeah. I mean, well, I wasn't on vacation. That was in Vegas.
Right. Oh, sorry. So you couldn't have.
But Limbaugh being maybe the most famous one.
Limbaugh. I think even Breitbart kicked when I was gone, too. I mean, what are you going to do?
Kissinger died when you were out.
Kissinger, yep.
Maybe you should just retire.
I mean,
it might save the country.
Dobson, I think Dobson died when he couldn't, when I was, or did Dobson die when I was, yeah, that's maybe who it was. You know who Dobson was? The focus of the family?
Were you on vacation? What are you saying?
I think I was on vacation when he died. I think he died last week. Yeah, James Dobson. I don't know. Anyways, but we'll see if Trump doesn't show up today or if they bring out a body double. We'll see.
I mean, it would be fascinating if he's struggling with his speech in some way, because I don't know. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but he's been out of like the public eye and off camera for a week. When is the last time that happened?
I would also just say it'd be the second issue they've really hoisted themselves on their own petard, first being the Epstein files, saying like, we're going to expose all that, and they get, actually we're really implicated. If they go after saying, when did you know Biden's decline was what it was? And then now they're trying to weekend at Bernie's him already.
Remember the auto pen? Trump has the auto Sharpie.
Yeah, we'll see. And I suspect he'll be out there with a very brief announcement that it's going to be.
God did that.
God did that. That it is now going to be the Department of War.
Yeah, war is not an easy word to say with a droopy lip. I'll just say
listen, I am sympathetic. I'm getting up there in age myself, and there's some like rumors that he's had like a series of small
strokes.
Yes, thank you. I just had
as Sam's mid one.
Exactly. But we'll see. We shall see. Trump will be making that announcement supposedly at 2 p.m. today. So maybe we'll cover it live if it actually happens.
Yes.
A lot of news happened while I was out. And I will be honest, I did a fairly good job of keeping things at like 3/4 arm's length.
Sorry for texting you all that stuff.
So, in the fun half, we'll talk about some of the stuff that I missed. But one of the things that I missed that I regret, and we're going to have him back on because this guy is great. There was a speech yesterday in Portland, Maine, as part of the Fight Oligarchy tour. Let's play number 10, just to give you a sense of the size of this rally. Brian knows this facility well, right? What is it?
It used to be called the Cumberland County Civic Center. Now it's got some corporate name right in downtown.
Because Cumberland
Portland.
County Civic Center is so sexy.
It's so iconic. You know, everybody.
Yeah.
It's like the Garden.
You going to Cumbies? Is that what they say? Are you going to Cumbies?
Cumbies is a corner store in Maine.
No, I know. Cumberland Farms. Yeah.
Oh,
We got
okay.
that in Massachusetts. Say you going to Cumbies.
All right.
Shut up, you
It's too
two.
much. But
sucks.
take a look at the size of this. This is a lot of people to be in a political rally, right? I mean, this is like the biggest
my
facility
God.
in Maine.
Yes, largest arena.
Go ahead.
Packed, dude.
For
So-
a primary challenge, and the primary isn't for another 9 months.
And well, I mean, it's also this is part of the Fight Oligarchy tour.
Right.
And but Graham Plattner, I would imagine this is the biggest audience he's probably addressed. I don't think I've ever even addressed an audience this. I did one really bad stand-up thing at Syracuse University with Janine one time. That's another story. And he killed it. This is really important stuff too, because with Mills announcing that she was going to wait until November to make her decision about running, what she's looking for is she going to have a clear field in the primary? And my sense is if she's not going to have a clear field, she doesn't want to deal with it.
She's going to be 78 at the end of the year. She would
Battle
end her
tested.
term at
78
85.
years young.
78 battle-tested years.
Yeah.
And so the more momentum
Yeah.
Plattner gets from things like this, the less a chance of her or jumping into the race. And then, the Democratic establishment to stop him if that's what they want to do. And I'm sure their inclination is now to do that. I don't know what that inclination will be in 3 or 4 months. We'll have to rely on like one of those mothership guys or something, supposedly that's floating around. We spoke, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, about the mothership being basically some sort of a scam pack type of situation. But here is Plattner. And on top of the fact that it seems like the folks in this arena, again, a year and a half out. We're in August when this speech, or September 1st, or whatever, a year and a half out from the general election, like at least a half a year out from the primary. I mean, I don't ever remember seeing anything like this.
And the biggest applause line here also gives an indication of what this energy
Well, that's
means.
another story. We'll get to that in a second. Watch this.
Everyone in Maine knows in their bones that the system is screwing us. And we know it because we can see it. We watch from the sidelines of struggle as incomprehensible amounts of wealth and power are consolidated by very few. We are all looking at that and we all wonder, why cannot we all share in that success? Our taxpayer dollars can build schools and hospitals in America, not bombs to destroy them in Gaza. We can take back the wealth that belongs to us, that has been stolen by corrupt politicians and the corporations that bought them. We can use government to usher in a golden age for unions and workers, not double down on gig work and union busting for the benefit of Wall Street and CEOs. And we can have an economy and a government that works for the 99% and not just for the 1%.
Folks seem to appreciate what he had to say there.
About Gaza too.
Well,
I mean, that's the biggest line.
That is what I think is fascinating about that line. I mean, it was the reaction was huge, and obviously the idea that we should be doing more with our tax dollars and we shouldn't be funding a genocide. This issue, and I think. What happened with Richie Torres while I was gone on the Adam Friedland show. Maybe we'll have him on later this week. Not Torres. I don't think he'll come on.
You don't think he'd agree?
I sense an invite.
Yeah. But during the 2024 election, Israel and Gaza was a wedge issue that cut against, or cut in favor of Donald Trump, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I think what we're starting to see with that reaction is an example, the fact that Richie Torres did not understand. I mean, this is a moment where the ground is moving underneath the feet of Democratic politicians. And that Torres interview was an example of them not realizing it and waking up. And some are going to wake up and fall flat on their face like Torres did. There was that, I think he's a Kentucky lawmaker or a Democratic congressman who announced some backbencher. I hadn't quite heard of him.
I saw in North Carolina, it was a woman who was a moderate who said she's not taking AIPAC money.
There was another guy in, I think in Kentucky, who said the same thing this past week. There are some who realize the terrain has shifted underneath their feet and they're moving towards it. There are others like Torres who get flat-footed and end up on their face. And then there are going to be some who I think are going to get elected because they are coming out so forcefully for this and forefronting it, or at the very least, not shying away and being full-throated about it.
And Zoran staffers are working on Graham's campaign, right? At least one. So you can see, I think Zoran's answer about the one Democratic state was the blueprint for Democrats going forward. And he'll give that answer and you'll hear mainstream Democrats say like, oh, he's not representative of the party. It's just commie New York City, but they never talk about how like both the House Democratic leader and Senate Democratic leader are from New York State. You're not going to like analyze that at all, but whatever. This is I think, blueprint for how to run on this kind of issue more broadly, because when you just basically make this case, we're saying, why are your taxpayer dollars going to bombing schools? Let's build schools at home. It's a very simple message that cuts across not just the Democratic base, but with independents as well. And so I think that's the blueprint going forward for, there's going to be more and more of these kinds of candidates.
And now is a good time to go and show your support for Plattner.
Yep.
This is the time where if there is an opportunity to give him at least a, breathing room in this primary, now is a great time to go and show support.
He benefits a lot from a head start and crowding out the rest of the field. I mean, what's been so encouraging is that he's not even talking about the other Democrats in the race. From what I've seen so far, for the most, and there are a few, they're just very lower name recognition, and Janet Mills is the highest name recognition who could jump in. But he's basically already running against Susan Collins. And I think that's another lesson just rhetorically for progressives candidates who are running without the advantage of corporate money is that if you just kind of act like you can win and that there's an inevitability to it, it draws people in. Because for so long, I don't think that the obstacle to getting the Democratic base to support left-wing ideas is as ideological as is portrayed by the consultant class. A lot of folks just want to bet on a winner, and people felt, because the party told them effective, they were effective with this propaganda, that Bernie could never beat Trump, or left-wing candidates could never beat Trump or Republicans, and you can't imagine more. Plattner creating this sense that like this is already a race between him and Collins allows people to imagine for more.
Yep.
Although maybe that's too much of a story being told for the abundance guys.
I will also say I was very bummed to miss his
Yes.
appearance on the program.
He was bummed to miss you as well.
So we're going to have him back on and soon. I would say even maybe before Mills makes her decision, November. We got a little time.
He had the Maine Nurses United in the background and the international, the IAM union, which I believe the International Association of Machinists, International Association of Machinists. It's over. Don't enter the race. We got our candidate.
It is very encouraging that Mills is waiting until November, because if you're definitely going to run, you don't do that. And if you're desperate to win, she wants to see that there's going to be no big hurdle for her. And as you start to see, like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like, I know these two things seem completely unrelated, but Andrew Cuomo, he goes down in New York City. Former governor of New York State can't win in the biggest city in his state. That's a sign. Even like with the idea of Nadler retiring, it starts to create a sense of where the momentum is and what makes sense. All of these things will influence that decision. But exciting to see Plattner already out there. Thousands of people in Maine going and hearing him speak and giving him standing ovations. Really impressive stuff. And Brian's just beaming.
I'm fired up. I was going to go, but I didn't want to get back at 4 a.m. to New York.
We don't have high-speed rail to get you there, unfortunately.
And you know all the ways to get into Cumbies, like in the back doors, right? At Cumbies?
I've mostly bought things in the parking lots of Cumbies, not really inside them.
All right, we've got a lot more to talk about. Got a couple of words from our sponsors. DeleteMe is a product that I've been using for 10 years because basically because I do the show. And that was the first impetus for me to do it, was that I want to be able to limit my public information as much as possible.
I was using DeleteMe before I even started here too. It was recommended to me by people at my old gig.
It's data brokers compile your information and they sell it. Whatever these sites are, they sell your information to the general public or to scammers. It doesn't matter. They don't know who they're selling it to. And what DeleteMe does is it makes it quick and easy and safe to remove your personal data online. Like I say, your address, your phone, your family members, where you've lived. There's all sorts of information on these data broker sites. And of course, it has real world consequences for you, both if, in this era where things are a little bit politically heated and they seem like they're going to get more so, but also, like I say, scammers and phishers and can find information on data broker sites, match it up with information they've bought on the dark web. It threatens your identity being stolen. It threatens you get targeted for phishing attacks, et cetera, et cetera. With DeleteMe, you can protect your personal privacy or the privacy of your business from doxing attacks before sensitive information can be exploited. New York Times Wirecutter named DeleteMe their top pick for data removal services. I want to thank DeleteMe for sponsoring the Majority Report. And of course, like I say, thanks for the work they've been doing just as I've been a customer. Although, I pay them. So, but thank you.
But you
anyways.
get it. But the service is good.
I'm not going to go overboard. I mean, but the thing that's great about DeleteMe too is they go in and they keep doing it. So they send you a monthly digest of what they've removed because these data broker sites repopulate. Anyways, take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe. Now at a special discount for our listeners, get 20% off your DeleteMe plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/majority. Use the promo code majority at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/majority. Enter the code majority at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/majority. Code is majority. We'll, of course, put that in the podcast and YouTube links. This episode also sponsored by Liquid IV. This is one of the easier promos I do because every day I do this show, I have at least one bottle of Liquid IV that I drink during the course of the show, and it keeps me hydrated. Over my vacation, wasn't as hot as I had hoped it would be, but it was warm. I'm moving around. I got to drink my my Liquid IV, and the beauty is super easy to carry with you because it comes in little packets. You can ditch the glitch with 0 sugar and 0 crash from Liquid IV's new energy. Oh, I didn't know this. This was one of my favorite ones, the energy multiplier. And now they have it in sugar-free.
Wow.
I've been using the sugar-free raspberry lemonade, raspberry melon too, but I'm on the raspberry lemonade now. That's my big thing, but I didn't realize they had the energy multiplier. It is scientifically formulated to support physical energy, hydration, focus, mood, and social stamina. I wonder if that's with the matcha, because I love that one, but I decided to do just the sugar-free. But visit liquidiv.com, use the code MajorityRep at checkout for 20% off your first order. Just one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates you better than water alone. It is powered by LIV Hydroscience, which is basically just an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. And I'll tell you something, I really do feel a difference. On some weekend days, I don't have it, and I feel it by the end of the day. Staying hydrated is super important. Ditch the glitch with 0 sugar and 0 crash from Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com. Get 20% off your first order with code MajorityRep at checkout. It's 20% off your first order with code MajorityRep, not Majority Report, but MajorityRep at liquidiv.com. Of course, we'll put the link in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. Check them out. Both those products worth checking out. All right, let's go to, I guess it was Friday. Federal judge halted the fast-tracking deportation authority that Donald Trump has been using. Of course, I think there's something like 1 million now folks missing from the labor market. People are afraid, we still have the Trump administration trying to convince, I think in California, ICE to have the ability, a federal judge for ICE to have the ability to essentially racially profile. If you look brown, if you're not speaking English, maybe at any given point, or if you're working at certain jobs, they can just pull up on you with just 'cause. And that's what's happening. This is number, just give me 1 second, folks. Yeah, well, I want to play that clip in a second. But on Sunday, a separate federal judge prevented the Trump administration from sending a group of migrant Guatemalan children that had already been boarded onto a plane, and hundreds more in government shelters, from being deported. The judge, Sparkle Suknanen, said she had been awakened at 2:35 a.m. and alerted to the case. She issued a temporary restraining order halting removal of the children, who are ages 10 to 17, for 14 days. She expanded the order to include any Guatemalan unaccompanied minors in the custody of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. This group could number in the hundreds of children.
Kidnapping.
Yeah. Meanwhile, a federal judge on Friday had blocked the Trump administration from carrying out fast-tracked deportations, which essentially was a denial of due process. Due process that was established both by statute and arguably constitutionally. Due process, again, let's not forget, the Constitution is not that it bestows certain rights onto people. It requires certain actions of our government in relationship to people in the United States, not just citizens. And the whole point of due process is not that you're granted some type of like special privilege. It is to establish whether the government is accurate or telling the truth in justifying the actions that it takes. You understand that due process is not something that's bestowed upon people. Like we're going to bestow it on citizens, but not bestow it on non-citizens, because you can't establish that disparity without requiring due process by the government. This is a constraint on the government. It is an attempt to prevent tyranny. It is an attempt to prevent some, whether it's Obama or Trump, being a king who decides you go and you don't. No, the government must justify its actions.
Although tell that to Kristi Noem. Remember in May, I was just reminding myself, she thought that it was exactly what you're saying, that it's not trying to constrain the government from impinging on your rights. It's like a luxury granted to people.
Yes.
They flip that on its head because it benefits their abuses.
Of course. And if it were a luxury or a privilege granted to people, you still couldn't determine who is worthy of it unless the government was required to provide due process.
But they claim that the Constitution is only, and in their perversion of what due process is, their central claim is that people who are not here as full citizens as of right now are not allowed to have those protections. So
but without due process, you still can't even establish that.
Agree. It's just amazing how many different layers of bastardization of the constitutional text that are present here, it feels like.
Let's take a trip down to Alabama, shall we? And here is Representative Barry Moore. He is a representative in Daphne, Alabama. I'm not sure what district that is in Alabama. The second district. And I don't know. Are there pockets of wokeness in Alabama of libs? Because apparently people aren't too happy with Barry Moore's conception of things like due process.
So there are those cases now where they're trying to clean up, and I think we're going to have to look.
Clean up? What? Clean up? We want you out. We don't want you here. We want them here.
All right, pause it. Here you go. You're seeing people in his audience who have undoubtedly lost neighbors, friends, I don't know, storekeepers, folks colleagues working with them, folks working for them, being deported. People are starting to catch on like, hey, wait a second. This whole, I thought we were only going to get rid of Tren de Agua.
Yeah, gang members and rapists.
What? Why? Like the grandmother living next door to me, she was an MS-13, and they're starting to realize that this whole program is just out and out xenophobia and racism, and an attempt to purify the country.
He literally said, "Clean up."
Well, what he's trying to do is he's responding to them saying like, "You've arrested citizens, you've arrested non-criminals." And he's going, we're working on cleaning that up. Oh, okay. That's his point. He's not talking about, we're trying to white purify everything. I don't think they're
But in practice, this is an ethnic cleansing campaign. Let's be real. I mean, like, this is ethnic cleansing. It's just not in like the final stage that it is in Gaza or whatever.
We must maintain the purity of the American heritage, which goes back almost over 200 years.
And the response from the crowd indicates that they're edgy about that sort of stuff for good reason.
We don't want you here. We want them here. Why are people not getting due process? Why are immigrants not getting due process?
So due process for a citizen and a non-citizen are different.
There you go.
False. Lies. The 5th and 14th Amendments allow for it. The Supreme Court has backed it many times. Shame.
What? That's it? Not even a goodbye? Hi, man.
Bye, Felicia.
My God. That is so embarrassing. Did he not realize that there were people with video cameras there?
I love that guy came armed with the right defense there, which is that the 5th and 14th Amendments do apply to all. The 5th Amendment explicitly says persons, and that is for the federal government on like these rights that are protected for those folks. And the 14th Amendment applies that to the states as well. So
people are so engaged.
But what's also amazing to me is like, this guy just like, screw it. I'm just out of here. Like, he doesn't even give like a goodbye.
That's what in the gaming community we call a rage quit.
Yeah.
He just throws his controller on the ground.
Yeah, I'm done.
Take the ball and go home.
Exactly.
You're
What
walk
a
around the house.
baby. Now, to be fair to Representative Barry Moore, who ran out the back door after his constituents apparently were aware of the Constitution and that there isn't two sets of due process for two different categories of people in the country, categories of which you cannot establish without due process in and of itself.
They should have thrown a smoke grenade.
Exactly. He could have done like one of the like, oh my God, is that a fire over there? And then just like run out or something. It's a squirrel flying. What? But here he is earlier in that meeting. And this is coming on August 29th, which was the day that Donald Trump had essentially, he had announced it prior, but the exemptions for de minimis tariffs was revoked on everything. All of the tariff regime that Trump has imposed up to this point still allowed for, I think except for China, but I'm not 100% sure on that, allowed for what was known as a de minimis exemption. If you purchase something that was less than $800, you would not get a import tax imposed on it. That's what a tariff is. It's just an import tax. And while you had corporations who would stock up in anticipation of potential tariffs, while you would have some products not available, and the supply chain was starting to absorb some of the import taxes, the rest passed on to consumer. In de minimis situations, it's almost all absorbed by the consumer. And you're going to start to People are going to start to see this right now. That video camera that you want to buy is going to be more expensive. I mean,
Tools,
everything.
The stuff, I mean, shoes, the stuff, we had an IMer last week talk about a tool, and I think that had parts that were either steel or aluminum. Those are going to be severely impacted because that's some of the highest tariffs that were put on earlier. So that is meaning like those effects are already being felt, and it's just like a preview for the rest of the tariffs that are being imposed.
A buddy of mine showed me a camera that he bought for doing podcasts. It has like a little tripod. It tracks you. I asked him how much it was. He said it was $630, but he checked it again. It's now up to $900, literally a couple of weeks later. And this, as a judge, another federal judge, or I should say a panel of federal judges on Friday, I believe it was, federal appeals court in the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C., 7-4 ruled against Trump and his use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose all these tariffs. Generally, you need laws to pass these tariffs, and you need congressional approval. He claimed that there was an emergency in this country because of fentanyl, and then willy-nilly started levying these tariffs. And it looks like they may get rolled back. But again, the
impacts are already being felt. The impact, I mean, I as you find that, I just got to say, like, even if some of them get rolled back, we have now frozen economic development in this country for over 6 months with this back and forth with the tariff thing. I mean, that is going to chill the economy regardless of the outcome of this challenge on the legal front.
And just to be clear, these tariffs are not going to be rolled back until mid-October so that the Trump administration go to the Supreme Court. Now, I wouldn't necessarily count on the Supreme Court ruling against Trump, although there are some people who have, and we'll get to that in a moment. But here is that same Representative Barry Moore. And the reason why he ran out of the room after people started quoting the Constitution to him about due process is because prior to that, they also were basically schooling him on tariffs and trade. Here's that clip.
They want to know who pays the tariff. Is it consumers or through the exporting country?
So right now, what we just saw in a report is that we haven't seen inflation at all. If y'all saw a report,
That wasn't the
2%
question.
on
That wasn't a question.
So if there was inflation, you would see it.
The tariff! Who pays the tariff? Who pays the tariff? Who pays the tariff? Who pays the tariff? Who pays the tariff?
Can I at least tell you about the tariffs?
No, tell us who pays it. And then you're honest and tell
There's a
us.
couple things you need to know about tariffs, but do y'all realize that after World War II, the Marshall Plan coming out of World War II said, okay, Germany and Japan, in order to help you rebuild, we're not gonna, you can sell your cars in America, but we're not gonna force U.S. autos to sell into foreign countries. And so that's why when you go to Berlin, Germany, you do not see a General Motors product. When you go to Japan, you do not see in Tokyo, you don't see Fords, but you see Mercedes. It's been going on a long, long time.
So who
And
pays the tariff? What's the question?
So Trump asked Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, he said, why is that? She said, I don't know. Nobody's ever asked the question. And so we'll start seeing, as we just cut the taxes on all the new cars, the interest on the taxes that you're going to get a tax credit on any new cars you buy, that helps the auto industry in Alabama because we got tariffs.
So should have paid the tariff.
So, no, it looks like the shipping companies from the foreign nations are playing because we.
No,
Have y'all seen any inflation in goods?
Yes.
It was 0.2% last month. So how can that possibly be that you're seeing inflation and it's 0.2% and it was
Pause it. Okay. Understand that the inflation measures that he's talking about do not take into account imported goods. And to the extent that there has been any downward pressure on inflation, inflation is up. Make no mistake about that. It has been from things like oil, because economic activity is also down. And so things like gas and oil get cheaper. But goods are definitely getting more expensive. And you know that because it took him 5 minutes to answer the question, who pays the tariffs? And he starts talking about the Marshall Plan and how there's no big SUVs in Japan or in Germany where like vehicles that would literally get stuck on these roads because they're so big. It's fascinating. Like, they must sit around. I mean, here the guy's gone in. He surely has seen videos of other people, of other town halls. He's going into this town hall. He knows he's going to get asked this question, but they must live in such a bubble where it is literally just driven by some weird resent that U.S. cars don't exist in Europe.
Oh, well, they're also working backwards from Trump's fixation on tariffs. I mean, do you think what gives you hope about the Supreme Court is probably what would be happening if Trump wasn't in power again, which is it would be more free trade, more, allowances for corporations to make more money and offshoring jobs here in the United States. I mean, that has been Republican economics for years and years, but he has to work backwards from Trump's kind of insane Ron Vera calculation.
Why are American cars not being sold in Europe, and why are Chinese cars being sold there? Is because they have central planning and they've decided to make the car of the future, and we've still been making the car of the American suburban past.
I mean, we are viral jokes when you look at our infrastructure and you compare it to, say, China or Japan or Europe,
even Australia,
or elsewhere. I mean, and that's what he probably doesn't understand is that, like, there isn't pride, I think, in the products here that he's trying to rely on that's going to overcome people's economic hardship. He's using 1950s patriotism to appeal to people here. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And let's be clear. If you wanted to build industry in this country, you wouldn't just do willy-nilly tariffs across the board on products that will never be built in this country, that you wouldn't want built in this country, that you can't grow in this country. You would have targeted tariffs, and you would then have the other half of the policy, which would be investment in these industries to grow them. But they're not doing that.
They're scrapping the CHIPS Act.
This is just a way to collect regressive taxes.
Yep.
That is what it is. It may be something else, in Donald Trump's mind, as like some type of, a penis measuring contest. But for everything else, it is just a regressive tax. Here is Scott Bessant on with Lara Trump.
For, because of journalism.
And this is it's good that he was on with Lara Trump, because no Secretary of Treasury could ever say this in front of anybody who was even slightly interested in the topic and get away with it. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever, this is not junior high. This is grade school reasoning.
Why did they even bother? They should have just had Besson in front of a mirror, and that would have been the same effect.
I think it would have been tougher, because then he'd have to see himself say it.
Self-reflection.
Right. In this point, at least Lara Trump is like, exactly. Go ahead.
Of course, you have critics, and they will say that the tariffs are a hidden tax on the consumers here in the country. But give us the reality.
If they're so bad, and the American consumers paying them, why do we hear the European companies or the Chinese companies or the Chinese complaining about tariff if it's all being borne by the American people? It's just not happening. When I talk about President Trump's economic policy,
let's think about why a country and the producers in that country selling stuff to Americans would complain that all of a sudden the price is 10, 20, 30, 40% higher for that consumer, and they don't see any of that money. It's just, the consumers are going to stay away and not going to buy it, and it's not going to be worth it for them to ship it. That's why they would complain about it. I mean, it's
bad for their business. That's why they would complain about it.
Exactly. I don't know why. Like, why would I complain if the iPhone started charging members of the Majority Report an extra $2 a month? Because people would be like, wait a second, why is this so expensive?
But if you're complaining, then the Majority Report listeners must be getting a real great deal out of it. Because that's his worldview. It's if a Chinese company is complaining, that must mean that we are doing a good job. It's like the Chinese companies versus the American public. Don't you understand that?
Again, it's like they only see the money going out and not the thing coming back.
Right.
But
they buy it all in bulk
He
themselves.
knows the truth here.
Yes, of course.
And it's just, I don't know if she does. She may not. She may not. But he certainly
You have
knows the
haters.
truth.
Why are they wrong, sir?
Give us the reality. What a funny question.
And here's the interesting, one more interesting point about this tariffs before we go. So the tariffs are starting to be imposed in spring, Independence Day or whatever he called it, Retribution Day or
Liberation Day. How could you forget? How could you forget?
Had like 10 of them.
Exactly.
It's called Juneteenth for business.
Re-Liberation Day is here today.
Ultra liberation.
Super liberation. Like everything in this country, the idea of tariffs, there has been a sort of secondary market on this. So if the tariffs ultimately are found to be illegally imposed, all of this money that has been collected by the federal government has to go back to these producers. Now, the amazing thing is these producers may get off pretty good because they may have passed on a certain percentage of that money to somebody else, the consumers, whatnot. Now, I don't know if they're obligated in any way to then pay back the consumers. My guess would be no. So you've got this potential of a tariff refund in the event that a court rules, the Supreme Court rules against these tariffs and finds that they were illegally imposed. So you have this thing called the tariff refund. Right now, let's say your tariff refund is worth $10, but it's hypothetical. It's almost like you're a creditor of a company that has gone bankrupt. You may get your $10 that they owe you back, or you may not. And what happens in those situations, and has happened in this situation, is that people came in over the past 6 to 8 months and said, you've got a potential tariff refund for $10, but you're relying on the court to say that these tariffs are illegal. You don't know if that's going to happen. Right now, I will pay you $3, and you give me the right to collect that $10 refund if it happens. And so you've got people buying up these tariff refunds. They're hypotheticals, but they're selling them for real money. That's what happens with bad debt too. Mm-hmm. You get people coming in going like, I'm going to pay you 10 cents on the dollar for that debt that you have. You don't even know if you're going to collect. I'm willing to take the risk. Well, it turns out one of the biggest players in purchasing up tariff refunds really early in this process, back in like May and in June, was this subsidiary of a financial firm called Cantor Fitzgerald, which up until Donald Trump became president was run by Donald Trump's now Commerce Secretary. What is it, Howard Lutnick?
Yeah, but it's not run by him anymore, right?
No, it's not. It's completely out of his hands.
Independent.
It is run by the Lutnick sons. And they have bought up a ton of this tariff refund credits. And the idea of like these these financial products is not terribly, shocking. People buy bad debt all the time, and this is what it is. It's like potential debt. But even if, understand, 25 cents on the dollar, 30 cents on the dollar, Wired reported on this over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
In June or May or April, today, after this initial ruling by the courts, that's probably worth 50 cents on the dollar now. So as it stands, we don't know exactly how much of this debt they bought up. And remember, there's like what? $100 billion worth of tariffs that have been collected at this point? Taxes that may have to be refunded. They may have bought, I don't know, half of $50 billion for 25 cents on the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
They could turn around and sell that. They just like made billions of dollars. There is no doubt in my mind, they're dumping half of it right now. They're covering everything that they paid for, plus a little more, and then holding on to the rest in the event that it pays off.
Yep. And one of the Lutnick sons, I believe, is doing business with Eric Trump on their cryptocurrency venture. And as of this morning, the Wall Street Journal reported, or yesterday at least, the Trump family has officially amassed $5 billion after their crypto launch, World Liberty Financial. Hopefully later this week we'll have on Molly White to talk about that insane level of corruption, but it's just amazing that this is accepted right now.
Oh, the amount of money that these people have extracted from our economy is just, I don't know if we'll ever be able to fully sort of like absorb it.
There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much.
Between the, being president when the COVID collapsed the economy and this, like, he's probably one of the most individually catastrophic person from a economic standpoint.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he is the most impactful president of my lifetime, and it's not close.
Oh, yeah. And I have a feeling like the number of things that are just sort of propped up. You have these bank regulators backing off, basically testing, more or less stress testing banks, which was a key feature in the wake of the 2008 crisis, making sure that they have the right amount of capital relative to what their investments are, making sure that they're not engaging in risky financial schemes with essentially depositor monies. I mean, all those type of things, all those woke things. You've got the idea that they're floating around now that they're going to provide crypto as collateral for mortgages.
Oh,
crypto is a little bit volatile.
That's what we need. We need, that's the lesson from 2008. We need more volatility and speculation in the real estate market. And people are asking if we have a dog there. Sometimes you'll hear this. There's a dog in the hallway that likes to bark. So that maybe
yes, we don't have a dog in studio,
but there's someone that does on our floor. But am I hearing you correctly that basically Cantor Fitzgerald bought the rights to this refunding, essentially hedging on and with an understanding or a belief that there's a good chance that the tariffs are nullified by the courts?
It's a bet.
So Lutnick has inside information about the tariff policy and the legal standing behind it, and his sons just happen to hedge on the tariffs essentially and get a piece of the tariff refunds. That's how this is shaping out.
Oh no, not a piece. Yeah. In the event that it is Lutnick's sons basically betting that the tariff regime is illegal.
Yep.
And that the federal government's going to have to pay back all of this money or a significant portion of it. And they have purchased the rights to those refunds for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. And they're probably just freelancing, and their father's the commerce secretary, right? They're just going in blind and making that assessment. I mean, it's so
listen,
obvious.
If Wired published this, I have no doubt if Howard Lutnick saw this, had no idea what his sons were up to.
Yep.
Are you kidding? I would never. I'm sure he sat there and instead of thinking, oh my God, all of this business that I built up and gave to my sons, they're going to ruin it by buying all of this worthless refund opportunity. I wish I could contact them in some way, but I know that would be wrong.
I have to let them
speaking.
fail on their own.
Exactly.
They have to build their own pile.
Exactly. It is their mistake to make. I'm sure that's what's going on there. He doesn't talk to his sons, only his grandmother, who never complains about her Social Security being cut off. The level of corruption, and the thing is, the level of corruption is so astronomical. I don't know. You have to go back to literally the robber baron era, I think, to come close. And really, it's debatable.
Yes.
It's debatable as to whether this is worse than that.
I think this, Teapot Dome looks like, good government.
Exactly.
Well, I just read analysis saying that the level of incoming wealth inequality has exceeded the worst of the Gilded Age. So that's where we're at.
There was, where is this guy? Some billionaire hedge funder is in the news for saying that wealth inequality's gone out of control.
Yeah, his name is Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates. He basically said that classically increased wealth and value gaps lead to increased populism of the right and populism of the left, and irreconcilable differences between them that cannot be resolved through the democratic process.
He says we're back in the 30s and 40s.
I mean, he's right.
And it's leading to more autocracy.
Billionaire says what people have been saying for a while, but because he's a billionaire, there's a news story about it.
Of course, you got to listen to him. And despite all of this, how massive this corruption is within the context of the history of the United States, I'm sure that there's been, much more extreme looting of various countries around the world. But in terms of the United States, we're probably in the most extreme sort of looting phase of this country. It's still probably maybe the second or third, fourth headline.
Yeah.
When you talk about we're destroying the 100 and some odd years that it took to build up the premier institutions that deal with public health being destroyed within a context of a month, in terms of labor rights being destroyed, in terms of safeguards for consumers and the economy being destroyed, in terms of rolling up and building. We have now net negative migration into this country. And yet we are on the eve of increasing ICE so that it's larger than some government's army, a domestic federal militia, essentially, that is going around and going to be rolling up grandmoms and dads and kids and just your neighbors. I mean, so the number of stories, and we are funding a genocide and an ethnic cleansing and the annexation of the West Bank, and also destroying what appears to be the vast majority of our relationships with the other great powers and emerging powers in the world.
Yep.
China, India. I mean,
did you see that in the images out of BRICS? I mean, Putin, Modi, and Xi were basically doing a three-way hug. Yay, America's destroying itself. Here, let's come together.
It's like, this is exactly what we've been
All
planning
it
for.
took, all it took was $750,000 worth of Facebook ads, and look what we did.
Yeah.
If only we had known.
That's why I say Newsom, Slotnick, 28.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
We will talk about Brian.
Brian, we have to check his bank account.
Yeah. Brian is wearing a hat that says 1630 funds. Well, weird.
1630.
But that counts as disclosure, right?
Exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like a NASCAR suit on it.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to head into the fun half. Folks, just a reminder.
Did you want to plug that one thing? Just reminding you. Sorry, I am due. It's right there. The Miss Rachel thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah, let's play this. I want to play this video. And this seems, I don't know, this seems about as definitive as you can get without a ruling from the International Court of Justice. Now, of course, the International Court of Justice has now been basically rendered almost completely ineffective between Israel and the United States, threatening of multiple prosecutors, threatening of sanctions, threatening of people in this country who are going to uphold any of those rulings. But the International Association of, and like literally countdown until Israel starts their own, or the ADL starts their own International Association of Genocide scholars, I should say. There was a resolution passed on Sunday. The International Association of Genocide Scholars, who consist of the world's most foremost genocide scholars, oddly enough, passed a resolution saying that Israel's nearly 2-year military campaign in Gaza meets, quote, the legal definition of genocide. It's sort of fascinating that this is not getting that much attention. Like, remember when it was a big deal? Like, it was a completely, and every, all of these people would argue on Twitter, it's not genocide. Completely, like,
we're anti-Semitic. We hate Jews because we would say, how could you say that about people who were victims of the Holocaust?
Words have meaning.
Killing tens of thousands of children, as if leveling cities into rubble, as if bombing hospitals, bombing universities, bombing power plants, cutting off water, cutting off food. If it's not legally the definition of genocide, it's okay. Right? Like, that was the sort of like why they would focus exclusively on the question of whether the word is appropriate. Well, the association has roughly 500 members. 86% of members who voted on the resolution approved it. One of the administrators said, we were very surprised at the level of consensus there was.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
The resolution states that the October 7th attacks by Hamas against Israel and prompted the campaign in Gaza constitutes international crimes. But it also concludes that Israel's response violates all 5 conditions set out in the 1948 Convention, including killing members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or part. That is according to one of the members of the association's executive board. The 1948 convention, of course, was in the wake of where these, I guess, principles were drawn up in the wake of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
The resolution accused Israel of carrying out, quote, indiscriminate and deliberate attacks against civilians and civilian infrastructure in Gaza. The destruction of a substantial part of group constitutes genocide, the association concluded. Here is a clip from Miss Rachel. As you know, we spoke to a doctor, I guess it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, who had come back from Gaza.
Or no, he was in Gaza. Dr. Lubani.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
No, it's
While
okay.
he was in Gaza, he was also aware that the baby formula was being prevented from entering Gaza. Now,
that was Amber Salimi who talked about that.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so I wasn't there for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And she had a colleague who was stopped with baby formula, and she had told us that baby formula was not allowed into Gaza. I'd be fascinated by anyone's argument as to why you can't let baby formula into Gaza. But here's Miss Rachel, who has asked people to share this video, pressure members of Congress. Like we say, we said this earlier, whether it is, Richie Torres finding out that, like, maybe the ground is shifting a little bit in terms of people's disposition towards Israel and what they're doing. Whether it's Congress people deciding they're no longer going to take AIPAC money, or Graham Plattner getting huge applause in saying we shouldn't be using our tax dollars to destroy Gaza. Things are beginning to shift, at least within the context of the Democratic Party. And so passing this around, maybe we'll also see it shift in the Republican Party, at least in the context of providing baby formula for babies.
Members of Congress, thank you so much for listening to me and Susie today. About 20 minutes ago, little Susie got hungry, and I just grabbed formula and gave her a bottle. As I was feeding her, I thought about moms in Gaza that can't get formula, and they can't breastfeed because they're too malnourished. I can't imagine the anguish of hearing that same cry, the cry of hunger, and not being able to feed my baby. And this isn't about politics. This cry of hunger is the same everywhere, and it's absolute cruelty to have formula miles away. Please sign the letter to get formula, food, and aid into Gaza. We will remember who signed it. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. This is about babies having formula. A few words to the Christian members of Congress. If you're not going to sign this, I would just like to know why, because Jesus is so clear that we need to feed the hungry. He says when we feed the hungry, we feed him. He says to love your neighbor as yourself, and he's clear that your neighbor is everyone. And we would never want our baby to starve. We need to love our neighbors as ourselves. Have a chance to do something great and be one of the people that wanted to get the formula to these starving babies. Very connected to a huge number of parents having the #1 kid show in the US. And people don't want this. They don't want to be part of kids starving. They don't want to be part of 18,000 kids being killed. They're devastated. Moms are commenting that they want to send their own breast milk to Gaza. Everyone's saying, how can I help? How can I get these babies fed? And you have that power. And we just are begging you. And I think so many parents in my community, their compassion for kids doesn't stop at borders. They want all kids to be safe, fed, and loved. And they know that that's the best thing for our children as well. We feel like politicians aren't hearing us, that we don't want children to suffer this way. We want to be helpers, like Mr. Rogers told us to be. When you were a kid and you dreamed of what you could be when you grow up and you decided to go into public service eventually, I know that you didn't want to be part of starving any child. It's not who we are. And I know deep within in your heart and soul, you know that that's wrong. And we have to do something about it. History is going to look back on this time and say, who did something? Be part of this group that did something. I sat with a mom from Gaza, Isra, and I would love for you to meet Isra and I. We're both teachers. We both have little girls, but her daughter doesn't have legs anymore. Her daughter is Rahaf. The whole world has fallen in love with Rahaf. She is the sweetest, brightest, most loving little girl. Kids are our whole world, and every child is a universe. And putting politics aside, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. We have to do something. Let's not let one more baby or child die of starvation. I am so honored to have had the chance to talk to you, and I want to thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
We'll put a link to where you can pressure your congresspeople to sign that letter in the podcast and YouTube description. I'm going to take a quick break, head into the fun half of the program. Just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member, join themajorityreport.com. When you do, you not only help this show survive and thrive, but you also can IM the show and feel like you're supporting us. I don't know. Justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee.
And help us incubate.
Exactly. Help us incubate. Justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee. They're a co-op and got great politics. They got a bunch of different coffees, including the Majority Report blend. Use the coupon code Majority, get 10% off. That's going to be helpful. Price of coffee going up. Matt, Left Reckoning.
Yeah, Left Reckoning. We got a show tonight. Very special show featuring the face reveal of, to some people anyway, who don't follow you on
no
Instagram,
way.
Brian Vokey. Gonna be
What?
Low number episode for Left Reckoning coming.
Wow.
This is before you don't roll out any new products until the first week of September type of situation.
It's just like, yeah. But actually, we're going to be talking about this elephant graveyard sort of disemboweling of the Roganverse. I'm not sure which one is really taken off, but it's
Sphere.
I think Rogan's
Somebody's
Sphere
going to lose their
sounds
green
better.
room pass.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
the mothership.
Somebody's going to lose their green room pass.
I've linked up with a different mothership, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Amina Sheikh also talking about some organizing for unions against for support of Palestine and more. So check that out, patreon.com/Left Reckoning.
Quick break. Be right back with the fun F.